Most students panic a lot when they are told to balance chemical reaction. No matter the kind of chemical reaction, they get so scared that they do not even want to try. And one of those chemical reactions is combustion reaction, how to balance combustion reactions successfully. And basically, what I mean by combustion reaction is the reaction between these alkanes and oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. So I'll be showing some 3 or 4 simple steps that will help you to balance this reaction and any kind of reaction that involves reaction between oxygen and alkane. So what is the first thing to do? You will have to check the reactant side. That is the C2H6 plus oxygen, giving us CO2 and water. For the reactant side, we will first have to balance the carbon. How do we balance the carbon? There are 2 carbons on the reactant side, but 1 on the product side, that is at the carbon dioxide sides. So the first thing to do is to pick the subscript of the C, that is C2, and move it and place it behind the carbon dioxide. That balances out the carbon. The next step is to balance the hydrogen. For the reactant side, we have 6 of the hydrogens, but for the product, we have only 2. So what do? We pull out the subscript for the hydrogen and divide by 2. That will give us 3, and replace that 3 behind the water, giving us 3H2O. So we've actually balanced the hydrogen too. So far we've balanced the carbon and then the hydrogen. What about the oxygen? How do we balance the oxygen? For the oxygen, you just find the number of oxygen on the product side, and then you will know what to do next. So what do? For the product side, how many oxygens do we have? We have 4 oxygens in the carbon dioxide. That is 2 times the 2 subscript of the oxygen. And then for the water, there are 3 oxygens there. So in total, at the product side, we have 3 plus 4, giving us 7 oxygens. So there are 7 oxygens at the product side. What do? Pick that value, which is the 7, and divide it by 2 and place it behind the oxygen of the reactant. In fact, you are done balancing this chemical reaction. So these are the few steps you can use to balance the chemical reaction. But you will notice that when we divided 7 by 2, that will give us 3.5. And we do not want a decimal number behind the oxygen. So we can decide to multiply through by 2, which is the denominator of 7 divided by 2. By so doing, we'll take care of that fraction. So if we multiply through by 2, we will now get 2C2H6, 7O2, going into 4CO2 plus 6H2O. So this is a much more uniform balanced equation of the first reaction. So now that you understand or know the steps involved in balancing this kind of combustion reaction, try your hands on this. And the expected answer for this reaction will be 2C4H10 plus 13O2 going into 8CO2 plus 10H2O. So go through the previous steps that we've used to arrive at this same expected balance equation. So if you find this lesson helpful and beneficial, give it a thumbs up. Share this video with other students who know benefit from lessons like this, and tell others about Learner's Aid. See you in our next lesson.